Let's say you're a photographer that specializes in portraits and you've recently had an accident or perhaps a medical condition that left you unable to stand or even walk as you normally could. Could have been something minor like a sprained ankle, or maybe you've had knee or hip surgery, or perhaps something even more serious like a stroke. Well, that's what happened to me. My stroke affected my balance and coordination, and I pretty much had to learn to walk all over again. To make a long story short, and after spending about a month in the hospital, and after much rehab, I learned to walk and get around with the help of some really great rehab trainers. As for my photo business, I'm pretty much retired, but through word-of-mouth referrals, I may get asked to do a portrait. A couple of days after I was discharged from the hospital, I got a request to do a portrait of a young lady with her son. And at first I was a little bit reluctant, but then I thought about it and I figured this would be a good challenge. So we set up a time to do the portrait. Now, during my time in the hospital and rehab, I went from the ICU hospital bed to a wheelchair and to a walker when I was discharged. And shortly after I got home, I started walking with a cane. Since I was not yet allowed to drive, we decided to choose a location that was close by, within walking distance. And I asked my wife if she could help me carry some of the things over, like I was using a tripod, my camera bag, nothing too fancy. I did use my Nikon DSLR and a 70 to 200 millimeter Nikon f2.8 lens. But it was very, very easy to get to. And once we started setting up, the lady that I was photographing, one of her friends came walking by and they started talking. So I asked her if she wouldn't mind holding the reflector, which is something that I normally do if I'm not working with an assistant. But I figured this would be good. And when I do ask, they always say yes. And they really seem to enjoy it, because I use a silver reflector, and even though it was late in the day and the sun wasn't too bright, I got a little bit of brightness into the shadow area, and also it brightened up the eyes just a little bit, and it worked out quite well. I had to be careful because I wasn't really too stable yet, and you want to be careful as well. So whether you're going to be using your walker or even a wheelchair, or maybe you can get by with a cane, just be very, very careful. You don't want to fall over and maybe break a rib or do some further damage. So I was very careful, and I had my wife help me bring certain things that I needed, like help me move the tripod around. Because, well, just remember, this was just a very, very short time that I came home from the hospital. And it did work out quite well. Although it wasn't the most exotic or exciting location, the lighting was good. I always like when I get a little bit of backlight that's coming in, whether it's from the sun or maybe we're in a location that has an opening in the sky where it hits them from the back, which helps highlight the hair, and it just sort of gives a little bit of more separation from the face or the body to the background. So that's something that I always look for. So keep all these things in mind, and if you've had a medical situation, don't be afraid to take the challenge. Explain to the person that asked you to photograph them your situation, and that's what I did. I told her I just got home from the hospital, and she was all for it, and we went from there. But just be very careful that you don't do any further damage by falling and hurting yourself. So I hope this helped you, maybe not so much in photographic technique, but maybe more in motivation and you can do it if you're faced with a little bit of difficulty or temporary setback. Thank you for watching.